Good evening. This is a work session for the Molalla City Council for Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. We'll start with roll call, beginning with Councilor Basinius.
Councilor Basinius present.
Council President Vermillion present.
Mayor Kaiser present.
Councilor Childress present.
Councilor Schenkel present.
Councilor Gilmer present.
Dan Huff, City Manager, present.
City Recorder Christy Teets present, and we also have some guests from PGE who will have an opportunity to introduce themselves in just a moment.
All right, is there any other staff joining us?
Not this evening.
Not for this.
All right. Please note that if a councilor wishes to discuss a major policy issue that is not on the agenda, it should be raised during new business or for consideration at future work session or meeting, not during the current meeting. Decisions cannot be voted on during work sessions. All right, Mr. Huff, your staff.
Well, I'm going to actually introduce these folks, seeing if I can get JD's name pronounced correctly. I'm going to introduce Heidi Bell to you on your right. Heidi Bell is our local government affairs manager. She's actually the first one that we've had in a long time. I think we've talked to you about that, Larry. It's actually beneficial to this community, so that's a good thing. Larry Bechdahl is the Senior Vice President for PGE, and JD Podlesnik is the Senior Director of Grid Strategy, Planning, and Transmission. I think Matt Corthell gave him his title. So anyway, they're here to talk to you tonight and have fun. And
all right.
There's Matt Corthell.
All right, take it away.
All right. Well,
Is the light on the microphone there? It should be by the
Yeah,
button.
it's on.
All right.
Yeah.
I hear it.
Perfect.
All right. Well, good evening. Maybe I'll give Heidi a first opportunity. If you want to say hi
Yeah.
and thanks for pulling this together.
Well, I think Larry did a great job. I'm Heidi Bell, and I'm very happy to be here. I've had a great time being, coming into Molalla and learning about Molalla and everything you have going on. You have so much to be proud of. Your council is such a great council, and the leadership of the city is fantastic. And tonight we got the opportunity to go see your police station, and that is just such a shining star in your community. So I'm looking forward to meeting with each of you and learning from you and understanding the ways that PG can better support your city as well. So,
Great.
thanks.
Thanks, Heidi. I always like to encourage Heidi jumping in and as we do the introductions and dive into this presentation. As pointed out by Dan and Mayor, when we had a conversation before, we're moving in what I would call, and been in the industry for a long time, prior to PGE. PGE I've been 11 years, ran Bonneville Transmission. Prior to that, I ran the engineering groups at Clark prior to that. I was with Pacific Corp prior to that, so over 40 years in the industry. But one thing that we knew, and being out in a lot of communities, from Wyoming to Northern California to Montana to Idaho and Washington and Oregon here, community connection is really meaningful. And so that's really what we're trying to work with Heidi. And the rest of her team is making those connections back to the community. And so I feel like we pulled away from that, and now is the time to get back in. And much of it, all of us get caught up in and thinking about our own entities, our own businesses, and we lose sight of the planning that's needed and the thoughts that are happening. And I'll share with you this evening some of the thoughts of where we've been, where we're going, what's been happening in the system. And it leads you to an understanding that if we walk away from here with one thing to remember, is that you have a planning group, we have a planning group, they need to be talking. And we need to understand each other so that we can plan. Because nothing gets built overnight. It takes time to get equipment, it takes time to build and get people and resources together. So the more we know about each other, the better we can serve each other. So if there's one thing you walk away from tonight, hopefully it's thinking about we need to plan together and work together. So thank you for the time. And as mentioned, Senior Vice President for Advanced Energy Delivery. And again, like I say, that's probably just the old guy that's been around a long time. So we have the transmission, we have the grid operations, we have what we call our AI groups and our innovation groups, which are really important as we think about the future and how we've been operating the grid and going into the future. JD is going to join me here a little bit as he runs the transmission and the planning groups. And so making that connection with your planning groups, that's where we want to be in the end. So if we can, Christy, turn to the next slide. We broached it. 34 of our employees live in that area. As pointed out, is that the city proper, is that the zip code, but you know, within Molalla, we have 34 employees, and that's it's a good sized chunk of our group. And I would say, as we learned from the ice storm a few years ago, it takes people to get in, to move, to change poles out, to restore the power, et cetera. Lots of lessons learned from that. And as we talk tonight, we'll share with you that we try to do forecasting now to see what's coming and how it's going to impact the system. With those weather reports, we have meteorologists on board now that tell us what does it look like and where. We try to think about the assets, the age, the types of trees, et cetera, and try to forecast, you know, how bad is it going to be, and then move crews there ahead of time. And December, we hit that really well. Came to a small storm that was coming in early January, and didn't happen. So we geared people up, but you know, the storm didn't come through. So welcome to the Willamette Valley. The Columbia River Gorge swirl, I call it. The winds come in, maybe it's going to hit. Where is it going to hit? You don't know if it's going to be the southern part of the valley or it's going to be the northern, but we're getting better at that. Your population, we put that in there, as you can see, the change from 1990. Why 1990? In the Northwest, electricity, how it really got started, for the most part, was the New Deal Act in the 1930s, if you recall, put people to work to build dams. And so we put a lot of people to work. And shortly thereafter, World War II broke out. That brought the aluminum industry in. The aluminum industry at that time, you had a plant, 100 megawatts, and 5 different pot lines in it. And you could actually trigger and ask them to reduce. If the grid needed energy, you could reduce the plants. And so those plants were pretty flexible. But we built the transmission to meet their needs. And so by the early 70s, we built the entire transmission. And system that's been in the Northwest, Bonneville having the majority of it, 75% of it. And even I can attest that I built the last 150 miles for them in the early 2000s, and not a whole lot's been built since. So you think about that growth from 1990 to 2025, and there are so many communities. I mean, that's 3 times almost growth here in this community, 300%. And you're feeling it from water, sewer. How do we meet all those needs? As we look around the Willamette Valley, you're seeing just about every community has been growing at this. And from an electric perspective, for the last 25 years, growth has been like 1% or less. Energy efficiency has really helped, but then we started to see heat pumps, we started to see electric vehicles, we started to see more electric use in homes, and air conditioning came. If you remember the summer of 2021, we hit 115 degrees.
In May.
115 degrees in Portland or Willamette Valley. I mean, it's like this heat bubble that was over us. Well, if you saw our charts of, you know, how normal energy, you know, peaks up and comes back down, it went up, hit a flat line, and then came down. That flat line represented there was nothing else to turn on. Everybody had every air conditioner and fan available that they had on. The following summer, 2022, at 96 degrees, we had the same energy level that we had the year before because everybody bought air conditioners. So again, a lot of people in the Willamette Valley did not have air conditioning prior to that. And so we saw a 10% growth boom because of air conditioning. So I share that is to think about growth and to be thinking about how do we plan for that growth that is taking place. We'll talk a little bit later about some of the data centers and things of that, answer questions associated with that. I carved that out and set that over here, but I want everybody to realize that just the general growth has been happening, and now we're at 3 to 4% a year instead of less than 1% a year. And so we have to think about how we deal with that. We can go to the next slide. Trying to show up in communities, and this is the part that, as Heidi is helping us to lead the charge, where can we be a part of the community? How can we get back and involved? And you know us, we know you. That's where we want to be. Don't ever hesitate. If you've got questions, I know Mayor has my number and can call, and same with our city manager here, Dan. Encourage them to call, but Heidi has access to everybody in the company, and we've given her that signal that when Heidi calls, people listen. E.F. Hutton kind of thing. If anybody remembers that, sorry, dating myself again. I know you've got growth issues, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Here in Molalla, the substation that feeds most, we've got 2 transformers in there. One is 22 MVA, peak to 26 MVA if you have all the fans and you have the oil pumps on, all those things. But average use is 22 MVA. The other one, again, is similar, 20 MVA. The loading between the two right now is roughly 36 MVA. So what does that mean? 36 megawatts of load in the community. Not a lot, there's some space there, but I also look at that substation, drove by and was looking to say, if we got space, we can put additional units in, we can change that. Our standard transformer now is 28 MVA, so we can add to that. But it also means building the wires out to those locations. So as you see the reconductor that's going on, that is taking that energy and being able to pull it out to where you're needing it. I also look around and I see you do have, and Mayor had shared with me the land space that you have. And as you think about what you want to develop and how you want to develop, you as a community are unique in that way. A lot of communities are full, have an urban growth boundary, and they can't go anywhere. So you have that opportunity to grow and think about the space. Street lights, I know, have been one of those other issues that we continue to think through, and how do we work together on street lights. LEDs, I will just say, way to go. It's cheaper. The energy use is dramatically less. And I think about my own homeowners association. I went and changed out all of the street lights that we have in our yards, et cetera, and we saved a ton of money. So it really makes a difference. So whenever possible, be thinking about where you can reduce that energy use. Well, energy management and the coordination, and we'll talk about some of the crises that we're all facing, but it is really important to think, how do we communicate with each other? How do you reach us during those storms? And again, Heidi helps with that, but we may have to set up something in particular just for this area, so that your EOC, which is again beautiful at the police station, we've got a chance to see, your EOC gets to talk to our EOC directly. Those are important links that we make, whether it's wildfire, ice, whatever the situation might be. If we can, you're seeing quarterly meetings, et cetera, we want to encourage those with the planning staff and the development team. If we can go to the next slide. So here is where we think of, and I know you're thinking about resiliency as a community, and whether that's again, we mentioned the ice storms or extreme weather. We've had microbursts blow over 500 kV towers 3 miles over there by Madras. Those big steel towers just crumbled. Think about the force that it takes to do something like that. So weather is a different animal, and we've got to be prepared as we think through it. Some of you, I believe, may have had the opportunity to come through the Integrated Operations Center where we operate. Dan was just there. and we highly encourage that if you have any interest. You see that center picture of the cyber and physical security. That's kind of a shot of part of it inside. But if you want to get an understanding of how we buy, sell, generate electricity, how that's brought to each of the communities, that's a place to go, and to be able to see how that all operates. Happy to, we've got tours coming up if you're interested in doing that. And that whole center was created because of the Cascadias earthquake requirements. And back in 2015, when we started to think about that, we knew we were down at the World Trade Center with our dispatch facility in the 3 building. And if the earthquake took place, the building would survive, but it wouldn't be occupiable afterwards. So here's the brain center of our operation in a building that you can't use. So yes, we have a backup, but it's a smaller one out towards Oregon City, across the river. So we decided to build a new one because it was going to cost us over $300 million just to harden the building where it was.
Wow.
So for less than $200 million, we actually got a new facility, twice the size of what we had, and with all of the new bells and whistles. And it's a great facility, just like a police station. We love to show it as well. And then the other side, cybersecurity, physical security. We are trying to stay on top of that at all times. It's, as we all know, bad guys keep knocking on the door. They keep looking for ways to disrupt our business, and so we're very mindful of that. The other one is the wildfires, and we'll talk a little bit more of that, but your area, it's a concern. And how are we hardening? How are communities hardening? How are residents hardening? There's a lot of new technology coming out, new ways to do things. We all have to get better in dealing with wildfire. Next slide. Something that's new on the left-hand side are batteries. In our industry, we never really had a storage facility. Hydro, you're able to hold some, so Grand Coulee does a great job of holding a fair amount of water and energy. But the other dams, for the most part, are run of the river. So that just means the water flows, it has to flow through. And so batteries give us that opportunity to buy it when it's cheap. So maybe at night when the wind is blowing in the gorge, we could buy it, store it in the battery, hold it till the daytime when the peak takes place, be able to use it. And ultimately, we don't have to buy the high cost energy at that period of time. We can keep energy prices down. So we'll talk a little bit about affordability, but that's a big player in keeping energy prices down. We now have a little over 500 megawatts of batteries. Compare that to our total peak, which is 4,500 megawatts. So roughly 10% of our peak we have in batteries now. There are 3 main sites, one in Gresham, one in St. John's, and one out in the Beaverton area. And we will have others, and they become a real resiliency piece for us as well. We go to the next slide. So in terms of projects and looking at what's been happening here, obviously you're seeing the construction here as well, but we're pleased to see as the wastewater plant comes online. We continue to talk about distributed standby generation. That's a program where we actually fuel it, we test it each month, and we maintain the equipment for you that you own, and then in turn we're allowed to use it from time to time when the system needs it. Now, if the system means locally you're out, it's serving you. But there are times where we need it because the system there, maybe we lost a plant somewhere else in the northwest, and we need to fill behind. We use those to do that for us. And think of it like a church. If you have backup generation and you're only using it on Sunday, how do I use it the rest of the week? And so that's kind of the way that we think of those standby generators. And we hope that it can be a program that helps you to maintain your equipment, take the worry away. Let us take that worry on for you. So that's been a really good program. It's been around for 20 years. We just revised it with some of the financing, et cetera. So we talked to Mac earlier. There's some opportunities I know that you guys are thinking about. Let's see. I don't know if you may have projects that you want to talk about individually, and we can jump into those. But maybe, for sake of time, we can jump to the next slide. Make sure we cover everything. We come back. Wildfire we talked about. How do we harden? Where do we harden? Where are the high fire risks? As you see in the picture, distribution lines many times are much shorter than the trees that are around them. If you've got 180, 200-foot trees, and you've got 40-foot poles that are down underneath of that, those are the concerns. Transmission, we tend to have much taller structures and wider corridors, and so transmission tends not to be the issue for us. It is distribution like this. So you can cover the wire, you can put in steel poles, or you can put it underground. Those are kind of your options. You can cut timber back as much, but again, you're not going to carve out a 400-foot path, with trees, eliminated on both sides. We are working with Forest Service, though, to try and peel back as much as we can in much of the state or federal lands, but that takes time. And we manage over about 2.3 million trees on our right-of-way right now. So it's a lot. And sometimes you have to consider, if you're going back out and having to trim those trees every year, every 2 years, would it be cheaper to do something else? And that's why we look at the hardening, we look at the undergrounding to try to determine where is the best in those locations. Last resort is what we call the public safety power shutoff, where we actually turn the power off in that corridor because it's gotten dry enough, the wind is high enough, the fueling in that area is prime. If an ignition takes place, a wildfire is going to take off, then we will turn the power off in that area. We notify, and that's where the meteorologists come into play, and we notify starting at 72 hours before, then 48 hours, then 24 hours. So we keep everybody informed, and you will be informed of that if it impacts the area here. So wildfire, we're learning a lot of lessons. We do have panel cameras now. That's an AI camera that looks out, and it looks for smoke. If it detects smoke, you get an alarm. And we've made that now available to all of the fire departments, the state as well, and the forestry departments. And we cover pretty much our whole service area with those cameras. And it's amazing. It's one of those technologies that you kind of say, I think they got it right. Because you don't have to have people sitting there watching any longer, when they used to be in the lookout towers and such. This is watching all the time. And on average, we probably get to a fire that is ignited somewhere between an hour and 4 hours faster than normal, if you were waiting for somebody to call. So we can jump to the next slide. Here's our energy picture. So as we look at how, and this is actually from 2024 numbers, but you can see what's the makeup of our energy from natural gas. We have coal still out in the eastern Montana coal strip, hydro facilities, our wind, solar mix. And the other that's there is what we purchase. And if it's purchased, say, from California or the desert Southwest, chances are it's solar. But because you don't know it, you have to treat it as if it were carbon emitting. So, so anyway, this is the breakdown. Target has been to try to achieve 80% by 2030. Most of us take a deep breath now to say, is that really possible? Can we get to that number? It's going to be tough. But we also want to make sure that it's affordable. So those are the questions that we ask now. We did accelerate some of our RFPs here recently because we still had the tax credits available. 30% reduction on those projects if you were able to meet them. So those are going forward, but next rounds, there are going to be lots of questions. And the past chair of the Oregon Public Utilities Commission, Megan Decker, used to say, you know where you're going on the highway, but sometimes you got to take an exit because the kids need a rest stop or whatever, and you'll get back on the highway. So when we think about affordability, that's what I think of when we look at, what are we going to need for energy. Let's make sure we have the energy. There's nothing worse than a reliability issue. We need to make sure it's affordable. So those are the issues that we're going to look for. If we go to the next slide, probably the last section, we're talking about affordability. And you can keep going. There we go. This last year, we spent considerable time reducing our budgets by $25 million. We have a target of another $31 million this year. Those aren't easy, as you all know. And when you're having to do layoffs of personnel, contract labor that we've cut out, et cetera, these are not easy things to do for anybody. But we also know that we need to keep it affordable for customers. So we're doing that. Cost allocation, that is the issue when we talk of data centers. And as those new large loads come on, we call it cost causation. If they're causing the need for that transmission or that generation, obviously the distribution that's associated with them, then they need to pay for that, not the rest of the residential customers. And so orders, we put them in front of the commission right now. It's being heard, and we anticipate. We know their rates are going to go up by 25%, and we're hoping to keep residential rates flat in that effort as well. So it's pretty significant in terms of change and how we deal with those particular customers. We did, we stayed here maximizing external sources. We had a number of grants that were federal funded. Some were canceled. The one big one for $250 million to rebuild our 230 kV transmission line from Salem out to Central Oregon is back, and we have that $250 million with the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs, so we'll be building that. But that $250 million makes a big difference on a project like that. Other customer programs, and maybe if we can go to the next slide, I think we have a few details on what we call the income qualified bill program. And so,
Christy, one more.
One more.
This
Here we
is
go.
just kind of a listing of all the different programs.
Thank you.
there we go.
Is this correct?
So just to look at your community, roughly 943 households are enrolled in that today. You have about 1,600 households that are eligible for it. So you're running at about just under 60% of those eligible. And so those on fixed incomes, those on low income are eligible for those programs, and really does help. All of our customer service reps take those calls, work with those customers. The last thing we want to do is disconnect someone. It's expensive and hard to get started back up. But we need to work every angle to make sure that we've done our best to work with each customer. But that gives you a little bit of flavor to say that program has been very popular, and I know communities have taken advantage of that and are helping those on fixed or low income. And I think that might be the last slide, if I'm not mistaken. But,
We
so,
can keep going.
so we can open to questions that you might have.
We've discussed before in the past when it came to the citizens' finances in the community, kind of a hub. And I'm wondering, this information with the phone number for this financial assistance, if there would be a way that we could start something on the current and start, this would be, I think, a good start in putting this phone number and this information in a hub there, when people are having issues paying their electric bill, or, if there's other services, that help with home, people are getting close to homelessness. Is that something that we could look into? I know Dan's or Mac's in the room too, but start a page and start sharing something
Is
like
that
this.
something you want us to share on the current?
Actually, we've done that with a number of communities now, newsletter. However
Yeah,
you
we do
that,
newsletter.
We have a little clip of an article with number, et cetera, on it and how to. So we're happy to share that.
We can post that stuff.
You'd be welcome to send that to me, and if you don't have it already translated for our Spanish-speaking community, we have someone who's able to do that. So if you have English and Spanish, I'd be happy to take both. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So how did you determine that there's about 1,600 households in Molalla that would qualify for that program?
That's great. I don't know if Heidi, if you got any info.
It says, if we can scroll back to that, it has like an energy burden assessment that I think a third party did for PG.
It was. They did a little bit of work
Oh, it's not
for the state as well, but it was a third party that came in and assessed by community.
Okay.
And so, is it exact? And it might be back to your question of zip code. Is it in the city limits or outside the city limits?
Right. Yeah, I do see that they're not all in the city limits. It does, anything that says Molalla on their address is counted, so that makes sense too. But I'm not surprised. Molalla has a lot of, poverty-stricken people, so it wouldn't surprise me if there were nearly that many in our town. I was just curious how that was derived. Thank you.
I'll just say I've seen a lot worse in terms of total number and percentage of community. I would say I've seen a lot that have gotten closer to the 75% range of those participating too. So it's great if we do the newsletter and can encourage people to participate.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything that PGE is doing to proactively make sure that this information is in front of their customers, whether that's in emails? I know that I'm involved with the peak stuff with our AC, and so we try to take advantage of those things. Is that something that's also being marketed and put out to your customers? I look at 58%, I think, okay, realistically, that's probably an okay number, but that also says that there's a lot of families that could and should be taking advantage of this program, especially with the costs of living right now being what they are.
Oh, great question. And yes, even in the bill.
I'd
says
say it
things,
comes in the bill.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
how many people read the bill? Okay.
We know.
I do.
Okay, good, all right. But,
We have that same problem.
But, first and foremost, where we get a lot is those customers that are calling in because they're struggling with paying their bill. So that's kind of our first wave to catch them. But you're right, it's, a lot of folks don't want to make that call, don't realize it's there. And so if we can encourage it, like I say, newsletters, I know we've done other advertising, but I can't speak to specifically what's been.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious, is it a good idea for people to put the solar panels on their houses and stuff? Is that really?
We get roughly, right now, we get about 110 applications a week. Give
Wow.
you a sense for how many are coming in. I would say, yes, absolutely. We do, I'm trying to think of the number. It seems like it's about 500 megawatts currently on rooftops. Now, sun as it is here, not compared to the desert Southwest, is not as good,
Right.
but still, it's still good.
It's
And
still, it's worth it.
when you had the tax credits, obviously, it would pay off much faster. Now it becomes a bit more of a challenge. I would say that a combination of solar and a battery plays even a greater benefit, because then you can actually use that energy in your own home as well. So, for instance, if there is a power outage and you disconnect from the system, you can actually use that stored energy in your own home. So, we've had mixed feelings at times in the past. What I would say is that we look to try to get more from the system to customers. Excuse me, their flexibility, their storage, all those things can really help us operate the system and give us that resiliency.
Larry, I'd add into our distribution planners are actually trying to forecast, neighborhoods, areas that we'll be installing those, and then that adjusts when we need to do some of our reconductors or system upgrades. And so we're also trying to capture that trend of Larry when he's saying 110 applications coming in. Where are those? Are there a few of those in the same neighborhood or area? And what does that do to how we can operate the system?
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yes, sir.
With all the upgrades that are occurring right now, I know that south of town is the old Avison Mill, where there's been companies that have come in here, looked at it, and said, hey, we'd love to build here, but the power grid is not strong enough for our need. Is there any plans looking at directing a upgrade that direction so it could be attractive to a business?
Well, I wish I knew locationally a little better.
Well, Forest Road,
Okay.
it's what we discussed
Oh,
when we had our meeting with where the mill that wanted to come in and.
Yep. So, there's kind of that's why the planning comes in ahead of time. If they go and talk to, one of our designers, and nobody's really discussed what's going on, and they hit them with a bill of, you need a new transformer, and you need a reconductor from point A to point B, and it's gonna cost you $3 million. They're probably gonna, head out the door, right?
They did.
So how do we have that conversation ahead of time? That's why, as I mentioned, okay, we understand what transformers are there. And we now start to think about where do we put that in our capital so that we have it built in as we're thinking about it. And we're also prepared that if somebody does come, we can move fast. And we can rethink, okay, what does it cost? That versus spreading the cost to others, to everybody, basically. And so that's why we're redesigning, rethinking that, and some of the reconductors that are going on. So it's important that we all are talking together. And I'm going to use the developer Kerr and his site, right? Started out with, it's going to be this big. And it was kind of that same worry. But when you really got into the load, it was only this big. It's less than half of what he was originally thinking. No problem, we got it. Let's build it. Let's go for it. So it really helps for us to have that dialogue. And when you hear that you've got somebody coming in, call Heidi. We've got a couple of engineers who are just focused on new developments now and thinking about that work for JD. And we come in and we look at that differently. But we are planning right now for Molalla and thinking differently about those situations. So that, again, helps us to know this is the best land, these are the spots that we really ought to be concentrating on.
Anybody else? We're all good? All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate your time and coming in and explaining everything, and hopefully we'll be in discussions with you soon for that upgrade south of town, and we just have to get Mac to go get someone in there promoted.
Actually, can't PG go and put their solar panels in there? Wouldn't that be a great location?
Well, I was thinking, some of their batteries.
Oh, batteries, yeah, your
we could-
batteries. That'd
We
be
got lots of
really great
land out there
space.
if you guys need to come put batteries in.
There you go.
Not a bad idea. We gotta think of where, the transmission, we gotta get it in and out. You're not gonna use it all here in the community. How do
No.
you feed it back out again, so, yeah.
But it kind of, I know you'd have to upgrade the lines to get there.
Putting the pieces together, you got it.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much. for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Be sure
Hey.
to reach out if you have any events too, or anything that comes up. And then I'll work with you on the newsletters and lots going on.
Yay, excellent. Heidi, thank you. Thank you all.
All right. Anything else?
I think we're good.
All right. I will adjourn this work session at, almost said 6, 5:40. Good evening. This is a regular meeting of the Molalla City Council for February 11th, 2026. Please join me in the flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. I'd like to remind all participants, including staff, elected officials, and members of the public, that Robert's Rules of Order will be enforced in this meeting. We welcome your opinions and look forward to your polite participation. Audience members, we request that you silence your cell phones and not conduct side conversations during the meeting. Thank you. Up next, we'll do roll call, beginning with Councilor Basinius.
Counselor Basinius, present.
Counselor Bartholomew present.
Council President Vermillion present.
Mayor Kaiser present.
Counselor Childress present.
Counselor Schenkel present?
Counselor Gilmer present.
Dan Huff, City Manager, present.
City Recorder Christy Teets, present.
Finance Director Cindy Sharon, present. Associate Planner Clarissa Davis, present.
Matt Corthell, Assistant City Manager, present.
All right, does staff or council have any changes to the agenda tonight? All right, up next will be the consent agenda consisting of City Council meeting minutes from January 28, 2026, OLCC liquor license request from Lil Pantry, resolution number 2026-06 authorizing city staff to conduct a sole source procurement and adopting the findings of the staff report. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any questions or discussion? All right, Christie, will you call the roll?
Mayor, I apologize, I didn't hear who seconded the motion. Counselor Gilmer, thank you. All right, Counselor Gilmer,
Aye.
Counselor Schenkel,
Aye.
Counselor Childress,
Aye.
Council President Vermillion,
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew,
Aye.
Counselor Basinius,
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote passes 7-0.
Thank you. Up next will be a presentation from Singer Luac. At this time, I'd like to invite Kathy Wilson from Singer Luac to the podium for a presentation. Good evening, ma'am.
Mayor Kaiser, council members, thank you for having me to present the audit results for year ended June 30th, 2024. GDB to state my name and
Would you please?
Kathy Wilson. I'm a director with Singer Lewack.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Do you have bound copies or do you have, okay, great.
Bound.
Page numbers are always the issue when you have some electronic and some bound, so. First off, I'd like to thank Cindy and Susan and staff for all of their assistance and everybody's contribution to the audit and making sure we were able to get in, get our work done, and be able to help you guys get filed timely. So with that, last year, the city created an annual comprehensive financial report, which has extra stuff in it, and submitted to the GFOA for their award for excellence in financial reporting. I'm happy to say that we received the award, which is unusual first time around. So kudos to, Susan did a lot of work and Cindy did a lot of work on that. So you'll see in the report that that award is included in right after the transmittal letter. It's page VI. And so hopefully you'll receive that again and you'll continue to receive as you put these together. So.
Could you pull the mic just a little bit closer to you?
Yes, it's short, so.
Yeah,
There, is that
perfect.
Bring it, you gotta get a little bit closer so we can hear you a little better.
helpful? How's that? Oh. Bring it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah. Hey, Russ, can you give a little more volume on the mic, that microphone? Go ahead.
Okay. Is that better? Okay, great. So with the award pointed out, I'd like to go into probably the most important piece that's in these financial statements, and that's our independent auditor's report. And we have audited the city, we have audited the major funds of the city and the business activities and the aggregate remaining funds. And our job is to provide an opinion associated with those. And I'm happy to say that we have what is called an unmodified opinion. That's clean opinion. So the financial statements are presented in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. There is an emphasis of matter paragraph in here. It is describing note 3, which discusses the provisions of a change. So the Government Accounting Standards Board had a couple of new provisions this last year that the city had to adopt. And so the city adopted GASB 101, which was compensated absences. And what that did was that required the city to record compensated absences, not just for amounts that would be paid upon leave, but amounts that were expected to be taken. So there's leave there that you wouldn't necessarily pay out upon termination, but that is expected to be actually taken within the next years. So with that, there's a restatement to our beginning balances. So, and that's a change in accounting principle is what that's called. So I wanted to point that out as well as the opinion. Nothing else in the auditor's report is much different than prior. There is a paragraph in here that talks about the state report. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Any questions so far? Okay, great. So on page 2 of the financial statements, so that'll be as you go past the MD&A and all of the things that are in the front, you get started into the statements. It's the statement of activities. And you can see at the bottom of that, in those last 3 rows, you see your net position as it was originally stated, and then you see the change in accounting principle, the effect of having to implement GASB 101 and what that did for the city's net position. So it reduced the city's net position by about $900,000 because you had to recognize the liability as if it was in place as of July 1st. And so, and then the numbers that are included in your statement of net position have the liability that's associated with what's there now. Probably one of the things that I think is most important is looking at the general fund and your fund balance and how it relates to the expenditures that you incurred during the year, what that percentage is. And you want to look for a percentage between 25 and 50. If you're over 50, great. But 25 to 50 is considered healthy. The city has $2.9 million in the general fund in fund balance as of the end of the year, and that was about 38% of the expenditures for the year ended June 30th, 2025. So that's, you're right in the middle there, so that's good. In the footnotes to the financial statements, there's a few notes here that I wanted to point out. One is note 3 on page 18, and that just details that change in accounting principle again. It's kind of an iteration and iteration, but standard requires that you put all these pieces in all of these different places. So, and then again, it shows you the funds that were affected, and then what happened at governmental activities and business type activities. And the reason you have the enterprise funds with their details out is because they report in their financial statements, in their basic financial statements, on a GAAP basis, whereas the governmental funds do not. They only report on a GAAP basis at government-wide. All right. In the back of the footnotes on page 42, there's 3 footnotes there that I wanted to bring to your attention. One is your commitments footnote, and it just details amounts that you have outstanding on current projects, but then there's also some additional information regarding upcoming projects that will be happening over the next few years. And so you have some really big projects, as I'm sure you all know, coming up. There's also note 17 that talks about another standard that was issued this year by the GASB, and that was certain risk disclosures. There was nothing in the city's financial statements that was affected by this standard, and so there were no changes in the financial statements associated with it. Note 18 describes the subsequent events. You entered into a loan agreement with the state for a Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan, for 33 million. And as of the time of these financials, you had drawn down about 800,000 on that. But that's a big number, and so it's a big commitment, needs to be in the accounts. Okay, the last thing that I would like to talk about in the financial statements is our report to the state. And so it's our independent auditor's report that's required by state regulations. And this is the city's compliance with Oregon minimum standards. And so we look at a variety of different things that are listed there and do testing over those. There were a few minor budget issues. There was some historical numbers that weren't, what was printed in the budget didn't agree to the actual financial statements. And so that's one that's often missed.
What page are you on?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm at page 100 and 101. That's going to be the last page in the bound copy.
Okay.
Great. And then meeting publications online, the state has a requirement that those publications be published and posted 10 days before the meeting. The city posted it 9 days before the meeting. So unfortunately, it was a compliance issue, so we had to put it in here, but very minor, I mean, by a single day. The last is that separate estimates are required when you're budgeting for contingencies. So in the resolution that the council passes for the appropriations, if you have contingencies and funds, they need to be on their separate line item. There's a few things that are required to be segregated. Contingencies, transfers, those items are required to be separate. So just so that you're aware of that going forward. And other than that, it was a great audit. You guys did a good job.
Excellent, thank you.
Any questions? No?
Nope.
You all should have received a governance letter from us also, but the information that's detailed in that is detailed in the information I went over here, so I
Okay.
feel we need to do that. Other than the fact that in there, you'll note that there's one past adjustment, and that's for subscription-based information technology arrangements, so software leases, and the amounts are not material. They're above our pass at a work paper level, so we had to record an entry. That's called a past adjustment. Management chose not to record that, and we agree that it doesn't result in a material mistake.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you very much. Questions, comments, anybody? All right.
Do I need to go over the URA, or?
Well, if you want to.
Oh, we have the other one?
Yeah, we can go over the second one too.
This one's really easy. This will just take a couple of minutes. We'll go to the auditor's report that's on page A. And again, you have an unmodified opinion, as expected. There is no emphasis of matter paragraph in here because there's no personnel costs that are in the URA. So the standard that you had to adopt didn't affect the URA. And then in the very back of the report on page 17, sorry, you'll see that same notation regarding the meeting publication notices. And that's really all. Everything else in the URA's
17,
report
yeah,
was pretty standard. There was nothing, no new footnotes or anything that I felt I needed to point out. So.
Okay. Perfect. Well, any questions on Mira? All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
All right. Up next will be citizens' comment. Citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to present information relevant to the city, but not listed as an item on the agenda. Prior to speaking, citizens shall complete a comment form and deliver it to the city recorder. The city council does not generally engage in dialogue with those making comments, but may refer the issue to the city manager. Complaints should first be addressed at the department level prior to addressing the city council. And besides Denise, which we'll get to you, Denise, when we get onto that topic, is there anybody else that wishes to speak?
We have no other public comments.
All right, perfect. Up next, public hearings, ordinance number 2026-01, updating Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 17, related to mobile food units. This item requires a public hearing. I'm opening the public hearing for ordinance number 2026-01 at 6:14. The purpose of this hearing is to hear a staff report and listen to public testimony. Does any council member wish to acknowledge actual or potential conflicts of interest? All right, Ms. Corthell, we're ready for your staff report, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening and good evening, council. So, one of the things we have heard a lot from the council is that, taking another look at this mobile food unit code, simplifying it, streamlining it, and applying some of the lessons that we've learned since we first adopted a mobile food unit code. And so this is that opportunity. So I'm gonna run through this stuff with you guys a little bit. Our goal here is to either, if adoption isn't possible, because there's issues with anything in the code, is to get your guys' feedback on what we need to brush up a little bit. But if not, if you're seeing everything and it meets with your approval, then to move on to ordinance adoption. So we're open ears and please, tear this thing up. We want to make sure we get, what you guys want put into the code. So I'll start, I think the easiest way to do this is just to go straight to the Exhibit A, the proposed ordinance language. I think that's the quickest way to streamline through this. So once I kind of see everyone's eyes and know you're there, then I will go into that. Okay. Just one more. Is everyone there? All right. Okay, so the first table of allowed uses, you'll notice that we have proposed to expand the areas in which food units can operate. The primary mobile food units, that is a mobile food unit that is a primary use on a lot or a mobile food unit pod, three or more food units. And this is a common definition that we've seen in multiple other codes. We did a lot of code reviews around different cities in the region and beyond to see who had a really good food unit code. And that's kind of the definition that we've been seeing for pods, is that 3 or more on a property or one as a primary use. So we defined it as primary use. And that would be subject to special use standards permitted in the C1, which is the downtown zone, all the way through the M2, the light industrial zone. You'll notice that's a differentiation from the prior permanent food units, or what we had as prior permanent food units, in that we are proposing to expand that allowed use to the M2 zone. The mobile food units as accessory, meaning that they would be accessory to a primary use. So that's your kind of mobile food unit that, and I'll just kind of pick on High School Pharmacy because they have a big parking lot. That's your mobile food unit that can kind of go in there, set up, sell their wares. Whatever food that might be, right? That's kind of your idea behind the accessory use, is to allow for maybe underutilized business spaces to have another economic, opportunity on their land. And so what we were looking at for that is, again, special use standards, but you'll notice here that we've included the C1 zone and we've included the public, semi-public zone for the accessory units. So that is the zoning kind of for that. And then if you scroll way down, the entire code has been stricken. We kind of started over. So we'll get down to where it's not stricken. And I want to draw your attention first to section A, B, C are pretty self-explanatory. When you get down to section D, process in general, our goal was to have this ordinance speak to the people that are going through this process in a way that it maybe didn't before, to simplify it a little bit. And we'll also produce some simplified documents to help people through this that pull the code out and put it in a more usable format. But the goal was to do that, to streamline this that way and make it clear what people needed to do. So you'll see that the process in general, that it requires A, land use, and then it requires B, business licensure. Right, that was an area that we noticed that was very confusing for folks. They were thinking, wait, I've got a licensed food unit, can't I just set up and operate? And it's like, well, no, you have to do the land use portion of that too. We can't have you blocking the fire entrances or setting up on a sidewalk or, some of the things that we can't have, right? So that's what that land use process is about. And so for the accessory units, we've really simplified that, and I'll get into that in just a minute. But as you can see, the process in general, it tells people, hey, there's a land use element to this, and a business licensure element to this, right? And the business licensure element, you guys will notice a little bit later, is where we catch the licensing of the mobile food unit as well. And we worked with the city recorder's office to streamline that so that when folks are coming in for their business license for mobile food unit, they'll see you need to provide your Clackamas County health permit to show that you're a licensed mobile food unit, to be able to operate in the county, and some other things. So I'll get back to that. But overall, that's the process in general. You need your land use and you need to have a licensed unit. So when we get down to land use for accessory mobile food unit spaces, I think the big things to kind of draw your attention to here is that there's just a drastic simplification compared to what it has been. And it also eliminates some of the financial barriers that we heard from the community, in that it waives SDCs and right-of-way dedications for accessory units. So the idea here behind all of this, just as I could read every word, but really the idea and what this accomplishes is that folks can come in, fill out a type 1 application, just like a tree removal permit, you know, with a simple site plan, and they can get approval to go in and operate. If we use the prior example that we had a few years back down at Pacific Pride, this code, the way it's written today, probably would have eliminated the concerns there. The SDC goes away, the land dedications go away. Really all we're looking for is, hey, you need to set this up in a way that it's not, you know, presenting a hazard. And that's what we're looking for in your site plan. Can't be hazardous. We'll still send it out to the fire marshal for review and that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's a very simple type 1 procedure for folks to be able to kind of do it, fill it out, draw a sketch of what they need to draw, maybe put some measurements in there where we need them, and then get to work. So that was the idea behind the accessory unit, is that, hey, these things can go in there with ease and at a very low financial barrier. Now, when we move to the land use for primary mobile food units, it's more involved. It's more of your standard land use. Why is that? Because it's either going to be a pod, and we all have been to mobile food unit pods. They're awesome. But as you can imagine, there's some things that need to be taken care of there. There's traffic issues. There's parking issues. There's, you know, we've all been to Oregon City or the Yard in Salem maybe. And you see those issues, and so that's why we need to make sure these go through land use so that we can do our best to mitigate those concerns for the community, right? But this is not a higher bar than you're gonna see in other communities either. It's pretty much standard, hey, if you're doing the big kit and caboodle, then we're gonna need you to go through land use. It's different than setting up a mobile food unit at a pre-existing business that's already operational and has extra parking lot space, right? So, that land use requires the full land use process. Now, primary, what we've kind of done is, hey, anything over 3 on a site is a pod, right? So you can have 2 as an accessory, but once you hit 3, you're in pod grounds now, right? Or the other one that primary applies to is, I've got a bare lot that doesn't have a use on it, and I want to set it up as a mobile food unit lot. So that's giving up a whole lot in the city of Molalla that could be used for some sort of business. So, hey, all we're asking you to do is to follow the same thing as any other business would have to do to set up on that bare lot. So in essence, it kind of encourages people that if they're going to use a whole lot as a primary unit, that maybe they'll think about doing that pod because they have to go through the same process. So we're kind of trying to encourage, if you're going to use up a whole lot, you know, maybe make it a full, you know, business and put something really cool in there. But you do have a method and means to get to a single unit on that space if you want. So that's kind of the land use in a nutshell. That one has the primary mobile food unit spaces. Those do require all the dedications, all the improvements, all that stuff, right? So that's the full land use process for those. I just want to be clear on that. Whereas the accessory that's just going into a parking lot spot or going into the Pacific Pride spot there, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you brought up Pacific Pride. So are we concerned about the surface?
About the surfacing of the area?
Yeah. So it can be gravel?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. One thing that we are going to look at with those is whether it can be traversed through ADA. there is gravel that complies. The gravel
No,
can comply,
okay.
can be ADA accessible.
For ADA, yeah.
But it absolutely can be ADA accessible,
Okay.
so I've actually researched that in depth, believe it or not. But yes, so it can be gravel, and
Okay.
so, yeah, the idea is that those accessories, we're trying to make them really easy. Get your business
Yeah.
license, submit a type 1 application, and you can come in. One thing we did add on there though, and I'm glad you said that because I forgot to mention it, is that there's a fee set by council. So instead of the SDC, you would pay an annual fee of whatever you guys determine that to be through resolution. Right, so that's up to you, but the purpose of that fee is for us to be able to administer those spaces, to make sure that they're complying with all the things they're supposed to comply with, to make sure that they didn't sign up to put a mobile food unit right here that's out of the fire lane, and then, oh, I changed my mind, now I'm gonna stick it in the middle of the fire lane, not thinking about that. Not that anyone would do that on purpose, but people don't think about that stuff unless you're a planner, a lot of times. So that's the purpose of that fee, is for us to administer those accessory units and make sure they're in compliance and that they're maintaining compliance throughout the year, because it would be an annual fee. And again, you guys can set that as high or low as you'd like. Well, of course, if you determine to pass this in this form, we'll of course bring you back some numbers and explain where they're coming from so that you guys can make an educated decision on that, so.
Is there a way we can include the business license fee in with that cost?
Wait, it being fungible and all, you guys can just determine, I mean, the business license fee is what it is, it's set by you guys. And if you didn't want the overall fee to be higher than this, then you could just set the other fee like that, or like this.
Right, I was just thinking as an annual, it'd be one fee, because I think, isn't it, our business license fee, isn't that an annual fee also?
It is an annual fee.
So if we're charging an annual fee on the planning side, just make it one set price
That includes the
combined.
business fee.
So
Yes.
that way, they're not getting two different envelopes for,
So we'll need to determine how to best administer that, and I would imagine that it will look something like that. But until you guys pass this, I can't tell you, or not, I can't tell you exactly how it would be administered, because we haven't gotten that far into it. We usually don't try to think too far past this, in case there's massive changes, then we haven't sunk costs into work that ends up being lost. So when you guys pass this, that's what I imagine it would look like, though.
Okay.
For whatever that's worth at
Okay.
the moment, yeah. So, and one of the things we kind of checked into, just to give you a little bit more on the administrative side, is whether or not we were actually able to, using our system, classify mobile food units as mobile food units in the business licensing system, so we could differentiate them from every other business by something other than name. Having to read and know every mobile food unit in town, and we can and we do. And already have been. Suzanne's been already operating that way, so we are able to pull a list of licensed mobile food units in town, business licensed. So we're able to deal with those separately from the other licenses. So that's why I do anticipate that it would be a single two-part fee.
perfect.
So, and then getting back to, okay, so licensing a mobile food unit, this one's pretty straightforward too. We have some additional standards, but the long and the short of it is you need to get a business license, and in order to get a business license, this is G1, you need to submit, we need the file number of the land use approval. And that will be the type 1 for an accessory or a fuller land use process, which could be type 2 or 3, depending on how many and what they're wanting to put in there. You need a valid mobile food unit license from the Public Health Division at Clackamas County, and you need your fire district inspection. We call it a written approval from the Molalla Fire District, because that's pretty much what he gives us. It's not like an inspection form. He just says, yep, I've looked at it, it's good. So it'd be probably in the form of an email or something like that, but we'll work with Fire Marshal Panunari or his replacement if he's retired. He's retiring every week, I think. But, so in essence, to get your business license, you need to be able to say, yep, I've got the approved land use. Yep, here's my public health license, and yep, I've been approved by the Molalla Fire District. Cool, you can go in now. Number 2 says the mobile food unit operation shall maintain continuous compliance with the following at all times during operations. These are some standards that we put in place. Now, these standards largely mirror the standards that are already in place from Clackamas County. It's just that if we don't put them in here, it's very difficult for us to enforce them if they're not following them, and we can't dictate whether or not Clackamas County is gonna come out and when and how. So we mirrored some of these things that were kind of the more poignant issues that we sometimes see with mobile food units and their operations to make sure folks have things like your fully screening from view, mechanical equipment that's separated from and external to the mobile food unit, right? We don't want a whole bunch of junk laying out by the side. We want to keep the, you know, the beauty of the city. Let's see. And just some basic standard stuff, not discharge leak or allowed to be discharged or leak any liquid or solid waste in the stormwater system. All this stuff is pretty much common sense, but we need to have it in there so that if it's happening, we're able to stop it. And so in essence, we took out a ton of the standards that you see in the prior code. And the reason we did that is because almost all of those things, all the things I think we struck, but almost all of the things that were in the prior code are required by the Clackamas County Health Department. So they were redundant, completely redundant. So there was really no need to have that redundancy. It just caused confusion is what we were noticing. It's already a requirement. And I'll tell you, they do come out and inspect. Me having had a mobile food unit now, it was in Marion County, but I can tell you that they do their inspections. They really do come out and make sure things are going well. It's a restaurant, you know, people are putting that stuff in their body. They need to make sure it's clean and safe and all that good stuff. And they do take it seriously. And that was one of my concerns before is a lot of times you get another agency involved and they have standards and it's like, well, we don't really need to duplicate all of those. But then you find that that agency never inspects those standards. They just never look at them, they never do anything. So now you're stuck because we don't have it on our books to enforce it. It's on their books and they're not gonna enforce it. Clackamas County Health Authority is not that way. And so, but some of the stuff that we wanted to make sure was met and that we could come out and say, hey man, you gotta screen off that thing over there. You can't have that ugly thing sitting there, you know, just to kind of help people out. And of course, you guys know how we function in code. We go out, we have a chat with people, try to get them to, hey, here's what you got to do. Give me a game plan on how long you think you can get it done. And then we just kind of hold them to account on that. As long as they're willing to work with us, we always work with them. So
Clackamas County does inspect too. A couple years ago, we had the food event going on at the church during 4th of July. They inspected every single stand on the 4th of July.
It does not surprise me. During Oktoberfest is when my inspection was every year. When we were live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They come out at the busiest time.
Yep.
They're smart about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that actually, Mary, that's a good point. The special event exception still applies. No one has to go through any of this stuff to be a mobile food unit at a special event. As long as they're
Application.
operating under a special event, they're out of this chapter. Other than
Their
the fire
licensing
marshal's
and
still
letting
gonna wanna
them-
make sure they see them, and then they should have
Suppression.
they
system.
should have a license from some county, that Clackamas County recognizes, which I think is all of Oregon and most of Southwest Washington counties, and maybe even more, I don't know. But they give reciprocity. So like I could bring my Marion County license card up and come to celebrate Molalla, and that would be recognized, although they still may inspect me to make sure I'm doing my stuff right while I'm there. But that would be recognized and allowed in that special event because I do have a license from a reciprocal county. And that is kind of the nuts and bolts of all of that. Is there any specific things that folks have, or general? I mean, any questions at all?
I like it. I think it's been a long time coming. And I appreciate you and your staff's work on this and simplifying this process.
Well, thank you guys for giving us the staff member to do it. And that's why some of this kind of fun community to building stuff has had to take a back seat, because you guys know we've been dealing with state laws rolling out every other day. There's another one coming out, by the way. I can talk to you about that later. We'll see if it passes. But at any rate, I do want to give credit to Clarissa. We really leaned hard on her expertise. You know, she came from Redmond, and they apparently had a pretty good program down there, and she was, you know, very much involved with that. And then she did the research on this. She coordinated the meetings. She wrote the document. I just reviewed it and gave her feedback. And so I told her I would handle this one because I didn't know how it was going to go, because mobile food units have been something that we've talked about a lot. But I just want to make sure she gets credit, because this is really, she was the motor behind all of this. So.
Good deal.
Great job.
Thank you for your work.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
well done.
All right. Council have any questions, comments, thoughts? This is the time we can change this up if there's something you don't like in it.
No, I reviewed it and I think we've covered, I think we've covered everything and not overdone it, you know. So I'm satisfied with it.
Yes, sir.
I do have one question, just because I'm not 100% sure. The public, semi-public, what's that classification?
So it's the zone, when you look at the map up there, it's the green properties. So generally speaking, it's gonna be the city or the school district here in Molalla, but it may also include, like, we have fish and game, and then I can actually tell you all of this stuff. Actually, can you pull up the PSP in the code? The PSP zone in the city code. On the phone. Anyways, it's like hospitals, but, so yeah, it's public and semi-public buildings, but we can give you kind of a list of the things that qualify as public, semi-public.
No, I think I'm good. I can see from there what a lot of the areas you're talking about, but that makes sense.
So our idea was kind of, hey, if you know, if you guys decide, hey, it'd be nice to rent out a mobile food unit space in one of your parking lots, or, you know, the school district wants to put one, or any of these other, or the fish and game, you know, wants to bring one and have them on, this lets them be able to do that. We couldn't see a good reason why not for the accessory ones. The permanent, obviously, that wouldn't work because it's not a PSP use, so it'd have to be accessory.
Anybody else?
I'd just like,
Go ahead.
thanks again for the hard work that you've all have done on this. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for quite a while, and I really like what I've read and reviewed, and so thank you.
Thank you.
All right. If nobody else, we will move to public comment. Public comment for this item is now open. If there's anyone that would like to speak in favor or opposition, fill out a comment form, get it to our city recorder. And I do have one form here from Miss Denise. Come on up to the microphone. Take your time. And we just like to ask you, please state your name and address, comments on whether you are in favor, opposed, or neutral to what you just heard.
Okay, my name's Denise Griff. I'm the owner of the Feed Shack, the food cart that was once at Pack Ride, like Mac had talked about. My address is 39098 South Sawtell Road, so I am out of town. And I would, for the most part, I would say I'm in favor of this, and thank you guys for re-looking at this, eliminating all of the barriers that were there before. And I've gotten a whole bunch of calls from people. They're like, hey, do you know that they're talking about this again? Are you gonna go to this and you're gonna come back to town? And I'm like, well, we'll see how it goes. And I have talked to Ed to see about going back there at Pack Pride. And he said, you know, it's definitely a possibility depending on where you guys land on the code on this. So I spent the last couple nights reading and rereading everything that was wrote out. And I like most of it. It seems fairly straightforward. I can't say I like fees, but I'm feed to death, so I don't like any fees. My one thing is in the zoning for the M1, the light industrial. You guys have that marked at a 0.5 acres to be able to put in an accessory unit. Pack Pride is 0.62. So I don't know if that's something that's adjustable or something that you guys would be able to look at and say, hey, this still falls within all the other regulations. It would be somewhere where before I would have been able to be at, but as it's written right now, I'm just slightly over there to be at the pack pride spot again.
Are we able to do questions? Are you good with that, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
No
I want to
problem.
read over this because I think that our intent was that permanence would be under that, but I want to make sure what I'm looking at here before I say anything. Are you seeing it?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it.
It's accessory. It's maybe located in commercial industrial that looks at public, and then it's for primary, maybe located in industrial on point.
Okay. So the accessory, which you would fall under, Ms. Grief,
Yeah.
it does not have that limitation. That's only for primary.
Oh, that's only
units.
for primary.
Yeah, so if you were gonna go use a whole industrial lot and have your unit or set up a, food pod or something like that, then we're looking at those smaller industrial lots that are kind of along 211. I mean,
Yeah.
so that we're not using up a large piece of industrial land for something that's not industrial in nature. So
Okay,
as
good. Yeah, I
accessory.
was just reading it as any of them were, it needed to be the 0.5 acres, and I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding?
Yeah, no, you're good. You're
All right,
good.
Perfect, no,
All
and
right.
again, thank you guys for.
I thought a lot about you when we were writing this.
Like, I just don't want it bothering me anymore. But, yeah, I do thank you guys, and I am looking forward to hopefully being able to talk with Ed some more, and there'd be a few changes we need to do there to readjust some power stuff, and hopefully be able to be back in town. I'm really tired of dragging that trailer around. It's killing my dog.
Excellent. Well, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Denise.
All right, if there isn't anybody else that wishes to speak, I will close this public hearing at 6:40. And next, ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 2026-01, updating the Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 17, related to mobile food units. Mr. Corthell, do you have anything else you would like to add to ordinance number 2026-01?
No, sir.
All right, having held a public hearing for this ordinance, we are ready to consider a motion for approval. Is there a motion to hold the first reading of ordinance number 2026-01, updating Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 17, related to mobile food units by title only?
I move to hold the first reading of ordinance number 2026-01, updating Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 17, related to mobile food units by title only.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? All right, Christie, will you call the roll?
Counselor Gilmer.
Aye.
Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Counselor Bicenius.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote passes 7-0.
All right, since we have a unanimous vote, may I have a motion to hold the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2026-01, adopting the Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 17, related to mobile food units by title only?
I move to hold the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2026-01, updating Molalla Municipal Code, Chapter 17, related to mobile food units by title only.
I second.
It's been moved and second. Any questions or discussion? All right, Christie, will you call the roll?
Counselor Gilmer.
Aye.
Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Counselor Bicenius.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote passes 7-0.
I just want to say thank you for doing such a good job. This has been kind of a pain in our you-know-what for quite a long time, and for Denise as well, and so I'm so grateful that we finally got something good here.
Thank you.
We do good work. It takes time,
It
but we
takes
do
time,
good work.
sometimes too much time, but.
Government does not happen quickly. Thank you for being patient, Denise and Chris. Appreciate you both.
I'm just glad we finally got it all done.
Mayor,
Taking off, there's a birthday party in my house,
Sir.
I'm missing out on.
I just want to point out, Miss Grief, before you run away, I just wanted to point out real quick that this ordinance goes into effect 30 days from now, but if you turn in an application before that, we'll begin reviewing under these standards. We just won't be able to provide your approval from 30 days from today.
It's gonna be a little bit, while we
Okay.
get the power stuff situated over there, and I'm actually booked out a lot, and, cause I've planned my regular year, so like September and August, and, yeah, so it's gonna be a really weird year for me. But thank you.
Thank you. All right, general business, PVC pipe antitrust litigation. Ms. Corthell, can we have your staff report, please?
Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor, and good evening again, council. So, we received the attached notice of class action suit against a couple of the PVC pipe manufacturers. I gave it a read, and we have not put enough PVC pipe in the ground. I mean, we've put plenty in the ground, but we're not a huge user like some of the larger cities or massive constructor. You know, you're building a stadium, you're putting miles of PVC pipe in the ground. So it didn't make sense to me to go out on our own because of the costs of litigation, et cetera. We'd probably end up taking a loss, but I wanted to verify that, so I did send it off to the city attorney, and we got the same advice back from them that joining the class would be in their opinion, the advice that they would give. Makes sense to me too, because I don't think I calculated it out, and we just haven't put enough pipe into the ground to go out on our own leaf and try and recoup. So our recommendation would be that the council join the class, and that was the advice of the city attorney as well.
Okay. Is there a motion to join the class in the PVC pipe antitrust litigation?
I make a motion that we join the class action suit in the, what was it, PVC pipe transaction?
Class action.
Class action, I already said that.
Does that work for you, Christy? Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? All right, Christy, we call the vote?
Counselor Gilmer,
Aye.
Counselor Schenkel,
Aye.
Counselor Childress,
Aye.
Council President Vermillion,
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew,
Aye.
Counselor Vicenius,
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote passes 7-0.
All right, up next, 2026 council goals. Mr. Huff, can we have your staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. If you turn to page 45, there's a short staff report there, and then the 2026 council goals priorities document begins on page 46. We talked about,
I don't think our things work the same way yours do on the page numbers,
Oh, we
but
just opened the link.
we just opened the link. But I found the link.
At the very top bar, on the black bar, there should be a little page number. It should say like a number out of 47. Is that, you don't get to see the same thing? All right, I'm sorry.
are you,
We got it.
are you all there?
You got it.
Okay. So I was planning not to dazzle you all with my goals versus systems speech I gave you on the 21st, even though Councilor Schenkel missed that.
I did.
I told her about it word for word.
So anyway, I know that we were proposing a little bit of a different system there, new to three of you, I know, but, well, actually two of you, because you were here last year. So two of you, anyway, and it was a little bit convoluted. And I want to state that one of the things that at a staff level that we were looking at was you all have so many goals and policies embedded in your comprehensive plan and all of your master plan documents, that having another set of goals, and we talked about this during goal setting, was having another set of goals on top of that was kind of not resonating with me. I haven't really liked these processes for years because of that reason. Nothing against you all or anybody who has goal setting, but it's like, okay, can we come up with a process that is actually more functionable for what we do on an annual basis for the city of Molalla? And that was really the whole goal. I'd be the first one to admit what we talked about on the 21st did not turn out the way I was envisioning that. So, you know, that was a different kind of a plan that I hadn't thought of. So what we were able to do, though, from the discussion is pull out what you all did talk about during that time. And what I did was I listed, you know, we have the mission statement, which Councilor Childress loved, and we have the motto that we all approved, 4 years ago, Mac? How long ago was that?
Four.
Was it
Yeah,
4?
I think it was 4.
Okay. And then what I did was I broke it down into 5 actual, what you can call council goals, okay? Some of these obviously take a little bit of staff work. Some of it takes a little bit of work from you all as well. Some of it are things that you find specifically important to what you think is important to the community of Molalla, like review the dark skies policy, review how we apply, you know. That was a program that came into place probably 20 years ago, okay? And finalized mural code, you all wanted to leave that on there. Charter update, we talked about that a little bit during goal setting, and that's obviously going to be some work on your part. It's going to be a lot of work on the city recorder's part to get, because that's a vote. I mean, we have to put it out. We have to put it on the ballot for November. It's also a subject during the LOC spring conference in Pendleton. So if you all want to go to that part, I know you were specifically interested in what was on the agenda. That is something on the agenda that we've been talking about that might be useful to listen to. And then we added number 5 there, the comprehensive plan goal policy training. And that's something that Mr. Corthell brought up during discussion, that maybe we need to find the time during this calendar year to expose you all a little bit more to what is in that comprehensive plan. What are those goals and policies? Because the way our program works is we link back to that comprehensive plan all the time with all of our documents. So all of them are linked, but I think we need to do a better job of linking you all with what's in there. Because just in this mobile food unit decision you all just made, that links back to your comprehensive plan. And Clarissa went through that when she put that staff report together. So, but you're not necessarily exposed to that, and I think, which is part of the problem, because we think comprehensive plan, goals and policies and all those kinds of things, and then we show up every year annually to do goal setting. It's like, do we even have any idea if any of the goals that you all talk about actually link back to that comprehensive plan? And so that's kind of the discussion we have. And so moving back to the thing, then we came up with staff priorities. And these are all things, some of it is going to include these 5 goals at the top. Like you'll see dark skies in here later. And then if you look at under infrastructure, one of the things that Mac and I have talked about over the last 2 or 3 months is the connection of Highway 211 Main Street to the Bear Creek subdivision. We've talked about that more than just 3 months ago, so it's a discussion we've had periodically over the last couple of years. And our idea originally was, because of where those properties are situated and because of the other developments in the area, we kind of made an assumption that the development would build that road. Okay? Hasn't come in yet. We've received some comments recently that suggest that maybe we need to move that up on our priority. Maybe we need to think about a reimbursement district. Maybe we need to fit it into our annual pavement management program to get that section built. It's a short section, but there is some water and sewer that need to go in there. So it's not just, slapping some gravel down and putting some asphalt down. It's more to it. We do think we need to add that to the infrastructure list. Now that's a suggestion by staff. I think that project will not only, it would be under infrastructure, but you could also look at it as one of your public safety components that are a little bit nebulous because it can mean a number of different things. And so I think we grasped everything that we could glean out of that conversation. And if we missed anything, please let me know. And if this makes sense to you, maybe this will become the new state model for goal setting throughout the state of Oregon.
I missed a fun time, huh?
Yeah, you did.
We may have different definitions.
That's what I heard.
You could ask about dark skies, though.
Oh, yeah, what is dark sky?
It's a program to make sure that the streetlights,
Oh,
you don't have too many, you don't cover the dark skies so you can
I
see the
remember that
stars.
now. Okay.
But after 20 years of that, what it's done is it's made streets dark.
So
And-
if you go from Toads down to Molalla Avenue, it's really dark.
yeah, it
Because
is.
it's every other pole, sometimes a couple poles, there's no light on. And
Yeah.
exactly where I live, we have no light there. And
Right.
it is pitch stinking black. And if you go throughout the rest of the city where new development is, it's like they didn't necessarily have to follow this code. The neighborhoods are well lit. Well, we're dealing with our main thoroughfare through town, and you're going through half of it and it's 3/4 dark, and then you
Right.
hit the other side and it's nice and bright.
That's what that means.
Yeah, okay.
And basically, it's supposed to wipe out the light pollution is what it's referred to? The
Yes.
Right.
So you can
So
see
it's
stars.
just more of like a pleasant community thing. Where I'm from, it's called star watching community. And that's what the idea is, but it's just making I think it's making our roads unsafe and
Yeah,
More
and
of a
that's,
safety
that
issue.
was the
Yeah,
discussion
okay.
during goal setting
Right.
is that.
So do you need a consensus on Onaway
Um,
to add it?
Yes, I do. We would need a consensus to officially put it in the list because we didn't talk about it during goal setting.
We
it's just-
actually did, Dan.
Did we?
I brought it up.
that's right.
Well, maybe that's where it came from. Sorry, I'm sorry. You're wearing that hat.
It's
and
okay.
It's throwing me off.
Dan, not everybody's a champion. I understand.
Target rich environment. Miss Corthell, speaking of targets.
Thank you, sir. It would fit handsomely under the known trouble areas, with prioritized ongoing projects and projects to serve underserved employment lands and known trouble areas. I think we could consider that a known trouble area, given the public safety issues that are involved. I mean, so that we didn't have to make a whole new category.
Right.
Given the public safety with fire, the fire marshal was none too thrilled when that street didn't get built when the subdivision went in. And then also the fact that we're hearing a lot from neighbors, and for good reason. And there's some concerns that also reflect back with that on the Headley Lane vacation. So I think it's fits squarely under the known trouble areas section. If you guys want to direct that specifically, it'd be.
And that would be what we would do is there's some things that Mac and I have discussed, and I mean we don't have costs, we don't have specifics on the water and sewer line or the storm drainage or any of those things today. but we can begin doing some of that work. And,
Bring it back to council.
yeah, and once we figure out how much it's gonna cost, I mean, Mac's gonna have to figure out where that will fit in, and if it's a this year project or a next year project because of that. So, and there's some other things we talked about. We have some components that we can look at, like I mentioned, potentially maybe it's a reimbursement district. It would be for the abutting properties.
Right. Well, my only disagreement with that is it puts a target on the property for no development until it's over. You know, if you look at 213 and 211, I mean, there was virtually no development at that intersection for what, 12 years? Because Safeway went in, and if anybody would have developed, they would have been paying into it. And so it kind of puts a negative in that area for a developer to come in, and that's my fear.
The only difference, and I know what that reimbursement district was. The only problem with that is the difference in that is the reimbursement district for Safeway that went down Main Street to 11. Those properties weren't even in the city limits at the time, and so I don't know how they were going to apply it.
Okay.
This one, the cost of the reimbursement district, if you apply it to one side or the other, it's probably going to be cheaper than what they were going to pay in the first place.
Okay.
Is the only thing. But we probably could look at it at
Right.
least.
Yeah.
Investigate it.
So council, thumbs up to let city staff put this in the appropriate place in the goals.
Yeah.
Does that work for you guys?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I worded it so you can place it into the goals where you want to place it that makes it the most convenient.
Yeah, where it makes sense. Absolutely.
All right. Anything else on your goals? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I do have a question. We do need to adopt these via a motion. So if you're not ready to do that tonight, would you like me to bring them back, or are you making a motion with the amendment?
Let's make council's
as-
good.
as
We'll take a motion
discussed.
with an amendment.
I move to accept the 2026 council goals and priorities with the consensus agreement of adding Onaway to the goals.
Is there a second?
Second?
It's moved in second. Any questions or discussion? All right, Christie, will you call the vote?
Yes, thank you, Council. Councilor Gilmer.
Aye.
Councilor Schenkel.
Aye.
Councilor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye?
Councilor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Councilor Vicinius.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote passes 7-0.
All right. Up next, staff communications. Ms. Corthell, did Clarissa leave for the night?
She did.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I will, Cindy, you have anything you'd like to?
Sure, I'll talk about those budgetary findings that she talked about to give a little bit more of an idea of what they were, because she didn't quite explain those, and I wanted to let you guys know. So that first one was the capital projects fund. So when we prepare our budget, we have the 18 funds. Part of the budgets is having the last 2 prior years. So you also, not only do we do that current year budget, but we also have to go back to the last 2 prior audited years, and we have to make sure that those totals match those audited financials. So out of 18 funds, I got them all right for the last 2 years, but the closed fund that we did for the capital project fund that was in the back of the audit was the one that she found the finding on. And it was from 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it was a closed fund. And then, so the budget meeting publication for the 9 days, we changed web pages. And mistake made, I didn't click a picture. So we actually did it right. I just couldn't prove it because I had no way to go back and prove that I had it on there for 10 days. I know, kind of minor, huh?
Christy, or Cindy, you're still a Triple Crown winner.
Oh, that's
Yes,
true,
you
I still
are.
am. And then the third one was the presentation of the adopted resolution. Susan and I thought we were simplifying things by removing some things, find out we won't do that again. So, none of it had to do with, money or anything,
Yeah.
it was all cosmetics. So, if that's all they can find, I'm happy.
Perfect.
Great job.
Getting ready for the budget now.
Already working on it. Max already got his budget
Yes, she
sheet.
is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anything else for tonight?
That was it.
Thank you. Christy?
Thank you. I do want to piggyback real quick to Finance Director Sharon's statement about the report that was provided tonight. That is already posted on the city website. So folks, if folks are interested in what Kathy Wilson was referring to tonight, I would direct them to our website. Of course, it would be under the finance department, and then audit documents. So that is already gone live. And then for announcements from the city recorder's office for commission and committee vacancies, just a reminder that we do have a budget committee vacant seat, 3-year term. We have a planning commission vacant seat, which is a 4-year term. Both of these seats are to applicants must reside within Molalla city limits. And for more information or an application, they can go to each individual page, whether it's the budget committee page or the planning commission page. But always, folks are invited to contact me directly if they have any questions or would like to get an application.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Corthell?
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening again, Council. So the last, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that Bear Creek area, and we just talked about getting Onaway extended up through there. And I wanted to let you guys know also that we are in the design process to be able to open up Molalla Forest Road. We're gonna open that as a driveway. When we looked at it, the best and most cost-effective way to get that road open in short order was to prepare it as a driveway. So there's been, like I said, a few folks have provided comment with Hezzy Lane and that sort of thing. So I thought it was important that you guys, be made aware that with Onaway, and I'm glad you guys decided to do that tonight. That was something we were looking at hard. Excuse me. Molalla Forest Road will also open up, and I think our intent there is to put a gate on Forest Lane to move that park traffic out of the neighborhood, but still have the emergency access. And of course, pedestrian access would continue to be there, as well as other places. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update on that it looks like this coming year, the folks in the Bear Creek subdivision, I think, will have a little bit better setup than what they have today, and I think that hopefully they'll be happy with that. So I wanted to point that out. And then our the crosswalk, the flashing beacon on North Molalla Avenue is in. It's looking great. It's functional. And so that is a massive improvement for safety there, because as we know, once we start to, we would have liked to have it done before the school year, but you guys know we ran into some property issues, and those neighbors were great to work with the city. And I think as we start to move into spring, when that sun starts to blind drivers coming up the road there, I think that you'll have a lot safer situation on your hands than we did before. So that was the two main things I wanted to share. And then next meeting, we'll be talking SDCs. We'll do a class, work session class, just how's the stew made kind of deal. And then be looking at parks SDCs in the meetings that follow. And then shortly thereafter, we'll turn right into stormwater SDCs. And rates. So got a lot of SDCs to talk about over the next a few months here. So.
Since we were talking about the roads and storm drains and stuff, I just had a follow-up question for the assistant city manager. I saw an email about, it was the last update about those new storm drain covers with fish on it, and there was like a final draft. I wish I would have knew about that before they started it, because, well, are we going to get those, or?
Yeah, so the way this kind of transpired is that the tribes actually reached out to us and said, hey, we have an interest in doing some artistic manhole covers. Does the city have any interest in that? And we thought, well, gosh, that'd be a great addition to the downtown area, you know, can continue to increase our art presence. And of course, we have a very significant, you know, cultural connection to the Native American, to the Molalla tribe. And so, yeah, they just kind of asked if that was something we were interested in, and then they said, okay, we're going to produce some art, and they worked with Landon, our engineering tech, to determine what kind of lids would, you know, be okay to use, because we have to have a certain amount of holes in them so that we're able to differentiate them and that sort of thing, you know. So they worked with him, and yeah, and then I did reach out to them and ask if we could get some sort of a rendering of some of those things, and he said he would reach back out to the artist. And I haven't heard back from him. Sometimes it takes a little while. So.
Well, I've seen in other small towns, even over the weekend, they have that fish on theirs.
Oh, cool.
It's like, well, I think we should put like Bigfoot on it or something. I think that would be cool.
He doesn't
Anyway,
go to
I
the
was just
stream,
wondering.
though.
That was just my idea. Sorry. I was just wondering if we're gonna get those.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Huff?
Just three things, actually. One of the things that when we went through the audit last year that the auditor, our auditors recommended, wasn't something we had to do, but it was just something they put out. We had some holdout liens that were going back, 15, 20 years, that long before any of our time were here. The auditor suggested that we go back and try to clean those out. And so these two individuals worked on that, thought it was a good idea. It was my idea to send out the notices for, hey, we got some liens hanging around that you might want to take a look at. Well, it was my call to do that, and I'm taking full credit for it, or the blame, whatever it is. Some people thought it was a credit and some people thought it was a blame. But they were hanging around on our books for that long, and it was 12, if I remember?
That's right. 12 and 43,000.
Yeah, 12. And so they sent the letters out in January. What we did find, however, and I want to tell you this part of it, is that a lot of them were liens that the people that we sent the information to had thought they cleared those liens when they purchased their land or their property or their home. That wasn't something that we would know, because when you look at the county records, they haven't been cleared. But that happened before we were here, but they've been able to work through that with most of the folks that have gotten in touch with us. We've cleared the ones that they provided us the information that we needed to clear them, and we've sent it. And I know it's frustrating for folks, but it does clear it off their deed as well. It's a benefit to them. It's not a collection issue, but they've taken some grief here and there for the last while, and so has the mayor. I don't know why the mayor has, but he has. So if you hear anything about that, it's actually a good thing for them to clear this off, especially if it was cleared originally. Some people don't think that. They think it's a nasty letter from the city, but I just wanted to point that out in case you hear something.
Were those things that when they closed on their house, they should have been found at closing? Yeah.
Yes.
Because I did hear something.
Yes.
But I know it's been taken care of.
That's exactly it. So.
The benefit is it has provided us with an opportunity to
Get it all taken care of. Yeah.
To submit a lien satisfaction. So that's
Good.
a win for,
And it's a good
for
thing.
all parties, for them,
For all
us.
parties, us and the property owner. So, what was the next one? LOC conference, please, if you're gonna go, let us know. The agenda is out. They have it out now, so you can look at it and see if it's something you want to attend. I know Mayor Kaiser's going, and the benefit for going to the spring conference in Pendleton this year is that Matt Corthell will be your chaperone.
Yeah.
So,
Are you teaching? Oh,
Learning.
right on.
The last time we discussed this, I had interest from 5 of you for sure. Is that still correct? Yeah, I thought so. Counselor
well,
Schenkel,
one
you were-
wasn't sure,
Yeah,
but
Right, I'm not sure. We should
Okay.
talk.
one of the
Okay.
5 wasn't sure,
All right.
so.
What were the dates again?
the 23rd and 24th.
23rd and 24th of April.
Of April.
And we still are still on a holding pattern on registering yet. Register,
I
it said
think so,
registration
but-
was supposed to open,
But
but
if we
Oh,
know,
no, that's our spring cleanup.
if
that's
we know
right.
for sure who's all going, then we can get you plugged in ASAP, which is
Well,
the good thing.
They've got a clerical
Like
issue
the
with their
mayor's saying
system,
is that
or
there was
a technical issue with their system,
was.
so they haven't opened it back up for registration.
Yeah, it's not, that's not back open yet.
Right.
But if we know exactly, then we can make it happen, because you
When
gotta
I-
be quick.
And I
Okay,
think
I'm
maybe you
exactly
probably
not
want to get
Huh?
your room
I'm exactly
booked.
not going.
Yeah, as I say, there's
That's
all these.
It's our spring
social
cleanup
penalties.
weekend.
Oh,
So
you're-
that's why we weren't
Oh,
going.
that's what that meant.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
exactly not going.
Yeah,
Right.
she's not
Okay.
going, yeah.
oh, guess you go. You're not going. She just
No,
said
that's
so.
what I
No.
told her.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Corthell, that was an excellent point about hotels, and I'll address that tomorrow. Thank
They're
you.
gonna
Yeah.
evaporate quickly.
Yep.
They evaporate very
Yeah,
quickly.
it's not that many around.
So who is it? It's Mayor,
The
I
5
think it's all
gentlemen.
5 of the guys.
all 5 of, oh, geez, good thing we have a chaperone. And good thing,
Yeah.
Lord, I was thinking a large Airbnb.
oh, God.
I actually
No.
stayed in one in Pendleton, that was really nice.
All I heard was that a charter update was on the agenda, so
Yeah.
maybe you'll have a chaperone for all of you.
Yeah.
Just one?
That'd be me. You won't be me.
And then the final thing I wanted to bring up tonight is you received a compliment from the folks that came to talk to you at your work study session.
PG?
And,
PG.
yes.
Okay.
And that the comment was, you have a special thing here in Molalla, and I hope everybody appreciates that. And that was directed at you all. So, thank you.
Nice.
How nice.
Thank you for that. It does make our job very much easier. So,
Depends on what day of the week you ask Christy regarding me.
that would be every day. That's all I have.
All right.
You off social media.
I've been good. I've been good. Moving on. Council Basenius.
Now I gotta say something. All right, let's skip a different direction.
Go Hawks.
I will remind Mr. Huff that the Seahawks are champions, and that was a wonderful Super Bowl from that front. I also want to say very nicely done on the financial audit. Finding a couple little things, of course, they can, unravel something small, but you did a wonderful job. So thank you very much for that. Other than that, looking forward to that LOC conference coming up. Councilor Gilmer and I were invited to a library board meeting that's coming up in the near future. So we should have some more information about some of the things going on with the library team. So looking forward to that here soon.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. You're up.
I'm looking forward to the conference as well. We're gonna have a lot of fun and learn stuff, and that's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Councilor Gilmer.
No comments.
All right. Councilor Schenkel.
I know the chamber had a pretty good banquet, or their banquet was pretty successful, and they did really well. I think people had a good time, not that I was there. But from the pictures and everything, it sounds like it went well. And their next meeting that I'll be going to is the 19th, so I'll have something to report back at that time.
Okay.
I will say that the couple of the evening was rigged.
Yes. Dan and I were supposed to be king and queen.
Oh, what happened? Oh.
It was
I think it was
rigged.
rigged.
I voted for you.
They had a couple of the evening?
Well, it was the king and queen of the,
Oh, the prom.
Prom.
That's right, it was a prom
Yeah.
theme, I forgot, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
they weren't dressed for
Wasn't
the
him,
I thought it was
occasion.
homecoming, yeah.
Was Kim there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She wouldn't stand up there.
Quiet was us, she wouldn't stand up. So,
Go ahead.
I have nothing other than that.
All right. Thank you. Council President?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. You know, we've got such great people here in Molalla that I want to bring up something that happened last week, and it would happen at the school. Our morning custodian pulled up into the parking lot in her 1972 Ford one-ton pickup, and the fuel pump failed right in the middle of the parking lot. Within an hour, there's going to be all kinds of people coming into this parking lot, and this truck is blocking everything. She can't push it out of her way by herself, so she walks over to Public Works, Molalla Public Works. And there are some individuals there that volunteer, yeah, we're going to go over there and help you. And they push that truck out of the way so that she can get her job done. And she felt so thrilled that she was helped by these people from Molalla Public Works. It just made her day, and I thought it was a wonderful thing. Again, people are public servants here in Molalla, are willing to bend over backwards, help our community out. And I sent an email to Mac and Dan and asking to, go ahead and recognize these people because they deserve it. They really helped somebody out that was in a jam, and it was great to see. And outside of that, thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to speak.
All right. Let's see. Tomorrow evening I'm going to Salem to the League of Oregon Cities President's speech.
Oh, are you going to that?
Yeah.
Good.
So go see what our new president has to say, and they're also looking for ideas on where they need to go this year. Other than that, I want to brag on you, Cindy.
Oh, boy.
And it not necessarily great job tonight.
Oh, thank you.
But for 5 years, going on 6, I have learned a lot from you. And yesterday, I was watching another local government entity discussing budgets. And they're discussing a police budget, or I'll say a law enforcement budget. And they have that progressive pay, similar to what our police department has. And their senior finance officer, which this department has its own finance person, not just over the government agency, but the law enforcement entity, he could not give an answer on what they pay monthly to their law enforcement agency. And I just thought to myself, Cindy could.
60%. General fund.
Boom.
And to me, it is, I'll be blunt, it's a testament that this city is out doing the work at the county. And there were so many things that I'm listening to, and I'm thinking, we don't have those issues. And they deal with bigger budgets, they have more manpower, more people doing the job when it comes to finance, and to hear the back and forth bickering on money, and I really appreciate the work that you and your staff not only do, but you also teach us and show us how budgets should be. We don't have the drama of surprise, we need to come up with $7 million, or we're laying people off in 6 months. I really appreciate that. You make our lives much easier, and like what PGE said, it takes a good staff for us to be able to do our jobs. We're blessed by all of you, and we really appreciate the work that you guys do and your guys' staff do for us, because we're only successful if we have people like you working for the city. So thank you very much for that. And I will adjourn this meeting at 7:23.
No, man, pretty good.